Hey everyone, good morning and good evening. So let's start with today's session and let's see what exactly we're doing. Let me share my screen. Okay, let me share the agenda for today, not just for today, for the complete week. So in this week, we'll focus on Java project. We'll see how a Java Maven project gets built and deployed using pipeline. So we'll focus on build and release. Along with, we'll focus on multiple security topics. So firstly, we'll have code review. So we'll have JUnit. We'll see how JUnit test gets integrated with your build pipeline. Then we'll see how a code coverage happens. Importance of code coverage. Then we'll see what is SAST, that is static testing. So SAST testing, will do it using SonarQube. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do in this week: Java Maven build, JUnit test, code coverage, and SAST. Okay, so this is something we'll try to do this week. If time permits, we'll do the other project also. Now let me give you the use case, what exactly the use case would be. So as I said, it will be a Spring Boot application, correct? So what exactly the application will look like and how exactly things will happen, let me show you. Okay, so this is how your Spring Boot application will look like, guys. Okay, so the Spring Boot application will be deployed. It will be accessible on port 8080. So when you're trying to access this application locally, so when you go to the home page, you will have a simple display. Welcome to my course, anything as such, only that simple. But there are multiple modules with it. You got incremental module, you got compare module, you get slash module. In the slash module, you'll have a simple display, welcome to my course, and things like that. In incremental module, so whatever numbers you put, the number will get incremental by 100, by 1. Okay, so like 99 if I'm putting, then the revert which you get 100. The output which you're getting, it's 100. So you have sent a request to your Spring Boot application 99. Basically it goes to your backend. So it's a two-tier application, guys. So in the front end you have Spring Boot, in the back end you will have Node.js. So this Node.js part I'll not cover this time. We'll cover during the Kubernetes sessions. So this module will not work incremental, because the incremental module is your Spring Boot application is going to your backend Node.js, then the revert is coming, then this revert is coming. Okay, so this incremental will not work. So what all things will work? This compare will work, and this slash will work. So compare is basically, it will do a comparison whether this is greater than 50 or not. So that is the condition which I have put. So these two more things will work. This will not work. This will work when we have this Node.js also deployed. So just keep this in mind. This is the application which we will be eventually deploying. Okay, now let me show you the application. So as we know how when you create a Java application, Java Maven application, how it looks. So this is how it will. You have your source file, you have your POM file, you have your unit test cases over here, and when you go into main, these are your application. Now this is your controller basically. Now inside your controller all these conditions are there. You got the slash, so basically it will print Kubernetes DevSecOps. If you want to change it to welcome to DevSecOps course, you can do it. Okay, this is what it will get displayed. In compare, there is a condition: if greater than 50, then the message should prompt greater than 50. If smaller than 50, else give smaller than 50. Now the third one is the incremental value. Incremental value has a direct dependency on the base URL. The base URL is nothing but your Node.js. So in this PPT, where is the PPT? We have a Node.js application also. So this is something I'll show you when we do Kubernetes, not right now. Okay. So for now, for this build and deploy, we'll just focus on this two. So we'll just deploy this part. Okay. Only this part will deploy. Later we'll deploy the other part also. Just keep that in mind. Okay. So this is the use case, guys, and these are the files. These are the controllers which is set. And now I'll just go ahead and start building and deploying this application. Okay, if you go to this this is basically calling the controllers. Numeric control it is calling. You don't have to worry about what exactly is there in the control and things like that. This is totally taken care by the developer. Now you got the test cases also. So there are multiple test cases based on whatever conditions we have. Whatever things is defined in the controller, those test cases are given over here. Okay, let's go and get this working. Now how do I run this application? If I want to do it directly from the command line, we have already seen what is Maven clean, what is Maven package and things like that. Now the things are different. How do I do it? Using my build and release pipeline. And let me show you the pom.xml file also for this application. This is what the pom.xml file looks like. It's as I said, it's a Spring Boot application. It's a numeric application. Now these are multiple dependency. We got Spring Framework dependency and we got JUNIT plugins installed. Based on this, we'll be creating or running an application. Okay, let's go and get the build and the release pipeline created. Everyone understood the scenario, the use case, what we are trying to deploy, guys? Any questions with this use case? Any questions, any doubt what the use case is and things like that, and what exactly we are doing?
Rohit, could you please repeat once again from start?
Sure. So this is a Java Maven application, guys. It's basically a Spring Boot application. So this Spring Boot application got 3 controllers created. What is the name? What is the purpose of this controller? The first is it will do a compare. So it will basically do a comparison with 50. If you do a compare and put some numbers, then it will start doing the comparison with 50. If it's more than, if the numbers are more than 50, that will prompt you that the number is more than 50. If it is less than 50, it will give you less than 50. And if you just see this is the home page. Basically, if you go to the home page, it will display welcome to DevSecOps course. The third is, this is basically just to show you how the API works. Hence I got this Node.js added. So just focus on this 2 part first. The third part we'll understand later. When we actually do it, then we'll understand it. For this, the application, whatever we are doing, the application, Spring Boot application will deploy. This is what it will prompt. That's it. The other part, let's not get confused. The other part we'll see when we actually do it. For now, let's leave it over here. Okay. So this is my application, and I've showed you the application source file. Now let's go and get this working. Now what I can do, I can create a new repository altogether. This is the project we were using, correct? No, this was not the project. Let's switch back. Okay, so which one is the project? DevSecOps. Let's go back to this project. Okay, perfect. This is the one. Let's go and create a new repository for my Java Maven project. So I'll go and create a new repository, name it as Java Maven, or let's name it as, because I'll be deploying it on web app, let's name it as Java web app. This time I'll add a git ignore file also. So I'll have a Java git ignore so that unnecessary debugging log files are not getting generated into my repository. I'll stick just with main branch, guys. I'll not create multiple branches this time. We all know if we want to have a multi-branch strategy, how we can do it. Let me quickly clone this on my local. Let's clone this project. Let's go into Java web app. Okay, now the only thing I'll do, I'll just copy and paste this entire thing inside my repository. Okay, I got the important files now. So the first thing I can do, simply do a git add, git commit, and then do a git push. So basically I'm pushing the change inside my git repository. Now I have my source code. I should have my source code now over here. Perfect. So I got the pom.xml file, I got the source code, and everything is looking good. Now let's go and create the build pipeline. I can use this traditional approach, guys. I can go to my Visual Studio Code. I can start writing everything from scratch. That is something we have already seen it, how we can do it. Now let's go and use the plugin method. So how the plugin method works, let's go and see that. And we will use the auto intelligence option what we have with Azure repos, Azure DevOps. So one, we have seen it, that how you can go and do things from scratch. The second, we'll see how we can do things directly from the pipeline section itself. So you can go to new pipeline, select Azure repos, select Java web app. See how automatically detected, by just referring to my source code, automatically detected that it's a Maven project. Hence it is giving you an option to select Maven task, or if you want to start something new, all those options are given. Like suppose you don't want to use Maven, you want to use Gradle, Ant and things like that, you got Ant also. If you want to use Gradle, you got Gradle also. Okay, so this is automatically, it will give you a default template. So it will not give you the complete pipeline, it will give you a default template which you can use as a starter. Okay, now when you're well thorough, like how the build is created, how the YAML looks like, and if you don't want to spend time writing everything from scratch again, so this is the best option you can go with. These are the templates which will help you create your build pipeline with no time. So if I just select this one, what exactly this task is all about, build your Java project and run tests with Apache Maven. This is what we wanted. Now the second task, you see, build your Java project and deploy it in Azure as a Linux web app. So it will give you a deployment also, building also, deployment also. So, but I'll stick with the build part for now, because there are multiple things what we are doing in build. Later we'll include the release part also. That is again, I'll have a multi-stage, then I can deploy things directly. That's totally fine. That's not a big deal. Now this is your Java. That's it. This around 10 line of code will build your Java. This will run your JUnit test cases, and this will create a package. That's it. Now what exactly is this? Let's go through this. The top two, we know the trigger is set to main. This is your agent pool. Now this is the third task. Actually what exactly it is looking for a POM file it will go and look for your pom.xml file. Maven option, this is the RAM requirement, the memory requirement to build this particular project. So the requirement is 3072. 1024, it's 1 GB RAM. 2048 is 2 gig of RAM. 3072 is 3 gig of RAM. That's the memory requirement given over here in order to build your Java project. Java Maven, we all know that it's need a JDK version. Without a JDK you cannot build a Java project, so this is a JDK version. Architect, so this is the build architect OS x64. This is the latest one. Do you want to publish your JUnit test? So that's set to true. If you don't want to publish, then it's okay. If you make it false, your JUnit test will not run. So this line is running your test cases, and this is the place, this is the location where your test result is getting stored in XML format. Your test results are getting stored in XML format, and the final goal is to create a package, a WAR file or a jar file. Jar file is basically more used for static application. WAR file if you have dynamic content, CSS, HTML, and if there are any dynamic content, then you will be basically creating a WAR file. Okay, there are other extension for java.er and other thing also. For mostly for web application, you will be either have a jar file or a WAR file. Just keep that in mind. So this, now you will say like, how come by just running this package command things are getting? So go back to the manual steps. What we were doing: Maven validate, Maven test, Maven compile, and then eventually Maven package. So if you just run the command Maven package, one single command, all the previous validate, compile and test will happen automatically. That is what happening at the line number 22. Goal package, that's it. So basically it will go in the backend, it will run the command mvn package for you. This is your build. So the things which we were doing manually using command line, all this, the same thing is integrated into one single command over here. Okay, so this is how your Java project will be built. Now if you go and run this build pipeline, your build will run without any issue. But the major problem over here is you will not have access to your artifact. When I say artifact, the package which got created, the jar file. Why? Because this is all happening on your agent pool. That's agent pool provided by Microsoft. Now how do you access those files? Again, you need to use the predefined variables again. So all these packages are getting created at some location, which that location is somewhere on this Ubuntu latest. So on this agent pool, the pipeline, your packages are getting created, everything is getting created. So what you need to do, you need to copy things from there. So you need to go and copy things from there. Where exactly it's getting created? So the pipelines are given over here. It's getting created at system default working directory. So I'll just copy this for now. I'll copy both the tasks for now. We have seen this, how exactly this happens. See this. So I'm just using a copy task, going to the system default working directory. Now what this location is, we can find out with predefined variables. The local path on the agent where your source code files are downloaded. So this is the local path on your agent where your source code files are downloaded. So what exactly I'm doing? Giving that source, what content I'm trying to find out? I'm trying to find out with this filter option. I'm trying to find out whether it's a WAR file or a jar file. Star, we all know what exactly this star is. Target folder, star, this is a wildcat character, followed by this question mark is asking, basically checking whether it's a WAR file or a jar file. If it's a WAR file, it will get you the WAR file. If it's a jar file, it will get you the jar file. This question mark, this is a very important mark over here. It will check in that folder. Once we reach to that folder, it will go and check whether it's a WAR or a jar. So if by giving this way, you can be rest assured that your this build pipe YAML file which you're writing, this will work in both the cases, whether it's a WAR file or whether it's a jar file. And if I just simply specify WAR and jar over here, suppose if it's a jar file and you have written WAR, you get an error, you get nothing. Okay, and vice versa. So same way, if you give it this way, it will go and check whether it's a WAR or a jar. Based on that, it will get you the file. Then post that, this is placing this file into build artifact staging directory. So this is the place where your artifact gets downloaded. Remember, a local path on the agent where any artifacts are copied before being pushed to the destination. So that is where the folders are getting dropped. From here, you're just publishing it to the drop location. From here, you're publishing it to the drop location. Why this is error? Okay, understood. There was extra space, guys. See, because of the extra space, I was getting the warning. Even with extra space, if you go, you'll get an error when you're running this pipeline. Understood what exactly this build is all about? You got the trigger, you got the pool. Now you got three steps. The task one is wherein everything is happening over here. It's fetching the POM file, it is running the JUnit test, it is building a Java Maven project. Once the Java Maven project is built, I'm just copying the WAR file at my build artifact staging directory. Now from the build artifact staging directory, I'm putting in my drop location. That's it. Build is done. Are we good? Any questions, any doubt with this, how we are building? Anyone? I think there's something in the chat. Where's the chat? Okay, is it? Give me 1 minute, let me switch my network. Give me 1 minute, guys. Okay, sharing my screen again. Doing a quick recap again in case you guys missed it. So this is my build pipeline created for my Java Maven project. The first task is basically fetching the file, running the JUnit test cases, then running the Maven package command in order to create the package. Okay. The second task is wherein we are copying the file, looking for whether it's a Java or a jar file, and placing the file in the build artifact staging directory. This is the directory where your artifact gets copied. Then we are publishing the artifact from the build artifact staging directory into a drop location. Drop location, why exactly we are putting things in the drop location? So that my release pipeline and even we can access the files and we can see what exactly we are doing. If you want to access the jar or a WAR file, then you can go, and we all know that we can access this drop location. Rest everything we cannot access because this is getting placed on Azure pipelines. Okay, so let's go and save this. And let's name this as Java Web App Build, and let's try and run this and see if everything works. Now let's wait and watch. let's wait and see. Okay, so Maven is basically downloading all the plugins, whatever plugins is there in the pom.xml file. If you go through these logs, you will see Maven is going and getting those plugins for you. Build successful, then total time took 1 minute 2 seconds. Result attach, running attachment. Now if you see the test result, even the test has passed. So there was a test cases, total publishing 3 test cases were there. So even that is given over here. It has copied the file. What exactly the file was? A jar file. So as I said, a jar file getting created. So the jar file was copied and later the file was published into your drop location. So by seeing the logs you come to know everything. Now if I go back to pipelines, if I go back to my build, if I go see the logs, more importantly, if you see over here, one published, this is where you can see your jar file, 17 MB. So guys, this is not a small application, this is a pretty big application. It's a 17 MB application. Now if you remember, the .NET application was 2 MB only. Now this jar file is 17 MB. Now if I go and deploy this application, my application will be deployed using this jar file. Most important part over here is the test cases. Now if you see the test coverage, if you see 100% test passed. 3 tests, there were total 3 tests, 3 passed, 100% pass result, time taken is plus 2 seconds and 236 milliseconds. Okay, now if you want more information about this test cases, you can see in test plan. Like if you want to view the XML files and things like that, you can see in runs. In the runs you can see this test results. This is the one which we ran 310, and these are all my previous runs which I did for other projects. See, this is the run. Now if you see the test result, you can see what exactly these were the 3 test cases which is written in my. If you want to see what exactly the test was, you can go inside this test and you can see there were 3: smaller than equal to 50, greater than equal to 50, welcome message. And if you see, if you want to verify, all these 3 test cases has passed. If you want to have a summary report, you can have a summary report also. You can come down and you can see a zip file. This is your test results. If you download the zip file, this is nothing but these are XML files. Like if you want to see what exactly it is, you just download. And if you open this, these are XML files. See this, XML documents. Basically showing, yeah, if you want to share it with someone, the test results, if you want to share it with someone, this is how you will be in reality. This is how the developers will be sharing the things with them. Understood, guys? This is how test is fine. Okay, this is how you can view all your test results. This is run 117 JUnit 609. They can even filter out if they suppose there are 100 test cases, and if you want to view any specific test cases, they can even filter out things from here. So it's same query window. Remember, we had a query window in boards. It's the same query window which you will have it over here. Perfect. Anyone? Any questions? And these test plans are already basically, if you want to create any test plan, how we create user stories and things like that. So even for test plan you can have a board like a structure created. So this is basically done by QA or the developers, not by DevOps engineers. So that is more about if you have any unit test cases, this is how your unit test cases will be visible. Any questions with the unit test cases? No? Okay. Now if you see, there is an option called setup code coverage. Now just clicking on this button, nothing will get set up, don't worry. This is just showing you that your code coverage will reflect over here. Before I jump on to code coverage, let me talk about a bit what is code coverage. So code coverage is like a white box testing, guys. It's a technique performed to verify the extent of which the code has been executed. Now basically it is checking the basically this is mostly for the developers. So whatever unit test cases they have written, it's basically checking that each and every line of your code has been covered with the unit cases or not. So that is what code coverage gives you, a glimpse, an idea what is a percentage of code has been tested. Okay, so in real time when you talk about continuous integration and continuous deployment, at that time your code coverage should be more than 95%. That is the minimum requirement. So because what happens over there, that once your build is done, guys, we all know there's no stopping anywhere. Once your build is successful, your things will get deployed till production. The only stopping is when your build fails, your testing fails, your code coverage is less than 95%, and all this scenario will stop your build. If it is not stopping over here, there's no stopping, the things will go in production. So as I said earlier, that if you are building and releasing something, continuous integration and continuous deployment, your build should be very robust. Now what exactly, when we do code coverage, what are the scenarios that we are looking for? So basically we are looking two factors. Are there enough tests in the unit test? We are checking if the unit test cases are enough, and do we need more tests? Based on the code coverage you'll come to know, like based on the percentage, you will come to know, okay, the developer needs to write more unit test cases because most of the scenarios are missing. So code coverage gives you a glimpse whether each and every line of code has been tested or not. That is what code coverage is all about. White box testing, black box testing, if you want to know difference, very simple layman, in white box testing the tester will have access to the source code. Black box testing, the tester will not have access to the source code. Just keep this in mind. White box testing, the tester will write this unit cases and things like that, and it will do the testing. In black box testing, this is more from the front end, wherein they do all sort of integration. They go and access the web servers and go and access the web pages, and they try to recall the APIs and things like that. That is what black box testing means. SonarQube is white box testing, guys, wherein Veracode and all, there are more focused at black box testing. So this is from the testing perspective. We don't need to deep dive and know more. Overview is more than enough because this is more related to the developers and testers. Okay, are we good? What are the different code coverage do we have in the market? So I can name Python coverage, we got Clover, we got NCover, we got SonarQube, we got JTest, we got JACOCO, Cubechra, and I don't know how much. Eclipse, JetBrains, PyTest. These are all code coverage tool which is available in the market. Now which one we will be using? The most relevant one which you can use it with Java Maven project is JACOCO. JACOCO stands for Java Code Coverage. Okay, JACOCO stands for Java Code Coverage. How do we use the JACOCO in our project? The first thing is we need to go and edit the pom.xml file. This is the file, correct? We need to open this. Now we need to go and edit the pom.xml file. So we need to have a JACOCO plugin added. Now this is what you will be doing henceforth if you want to add anything extra to your application build. Okay, now you need to go and add the plugin over here. So I have the plugin already written in this note file. This is the plugin, guys. Now basically this plugin is nothing but JACOCO. The version of JACOCO is 0.8.6. This is the latest one which we are using. Preparing agent, the goal is to prepare agent, execution, create a test, report. Okay, so the goal is to create a report. So this is, we are using JACOCO. So what I have to do is copy this plugin and place the plugin inside the pom.xml file. You get the plugin very easily. You'll get this plugin with this piece of code. You'll get it from the JACOCO website, guys. It's very easily you'll get it. Nothing fancy or nothing I have written from my end. You can get it very easily. I just come and place this over here. Okay, now this is something, there's no indentation issue. This is an XML file, guys. Unlike in YAML, how we had indentation issue that you should not give extra spaces and things like that. Nothing as such. You just place it inside this plugin section, and that is more than enough. How you're putting inside this plugin section, you put this plugin. That is more than enough. Okay, now one thing is done. We got the pom.xml file. Now let me push this pom.xml file into my remote repository. This Java project notes I think I have shared already with Maven when we were doing Maven, because we got Maven commands also at the bottom. So it's there in the Maven folder itself. Okay. The build would have started again. I just stop it. Did we push? Okay, there is an error. Error is because we have created a YAML file, and that YAML file is not there in my local. So what should I do now, guys? How do I get rid of this error which I'm getting right now? What should I do? Anyone?
You do a git pull.
Perfect. Now it is opening where? VI editor. The VI editor is because we are merging two commits now. The one which we pulled and one which is there on my local. Hence saved it. Now I'll do a git push. Perfect. I'll just stop this build because by just adding the plugin it will not run the code coverage for you. We need to go and edit the YAML file also now. This task I need to change. So let's go and look for Maven again. Pom.xml file. Goal is to create the package, run the JUnit test, have the JUnit test published at this location. Now more importantly, code coverage tool. Select JACOCO. We got other also, Cuvechura also, but we are selecting JACOCO. Now rest everything else you can leave it as it is and simply highlight this task, add. That's it. Maven JACOCO task is right over here now. Now you can go and run your code coverage. That easy it is. It looks difficult, it is not difficult at all. That's it. Save it. Just run the command. See, your build has already started. Let's wait. while this is running. Anyone, any question in between? Okay, now if you see this, the Spring Boot, you can see multiple other things which is happening right now. This is because even after the build, the test will happen. The test, after the test, the code coverage will happen. Then the actual build will happen. So there are multiple things which is happening now. See this. It's a pretty big role. Now modifying, uploading 32 files. So this is all your code coverage, reading code coverage summary. See, the XML file got created over here. Build was successful. Now if you see in the build, you can find out the jar file is also getting created at this location. See the location where the jar file got created. Okay, now let's go and see the build. Now do you see there is one more percentage over here, 61.11. This is your JACOCO summary. 88 total, in which we have just covered 52 out of 88. So this is missed. The coverage 40%, missed 0 of 2, coverage 100%. See this, missed classes, 3 classes we missed, 2 method, all 7 method got covered, classes 3 missed, lines 18, 2 missed, complexity 7 missed. So this is how JACOCO gives you an idea. Now you see one more tab over here. Previously we had only summary, test. Now we got one more tab called code coverage. Now this is the table, is giving you clear idea what all things got missed. And what is the percentage of coverage? 61.11, which is not acceptable. In reality this is not acceptable. At least it should be 85% above. Okay, so this is what, and you can get this output, everything inside this code coverage output over here. You get the summary over here, JACOCO XML. You can view this XML file, you get more information. The table which you saw, you get more information at this screen. Okay, and if you go to the test plan, you can see one more run. See this run which we just created right now. See this, one more zip file. Okay, this is how code coverage works. If you want to do a code coverage, this is how your test and code coverage will work. So we got JUnit test cases, we got your code coverage placed over here. Okay, and we got the jar file also. Now let's go and deploy this jar file and let's see if my application is working or not. So I can quickly go to the release pipeline. I'll use the classic editor only, that is quicker way to do things. So I'll do new release. I'll select deploy on Java, so I'll be deploying on Java web app, so I'll just select this for now. I'm not giving any naming. Go and select the artifact. Select the artifact Java web app build. Now this is for war file. There are 2 tasks, one is for war and one is for jar. So mine is jar, correct? So I'll just remove this war and just keep the jar one. Okay, now let's go and create the web app manually for now, or else not manually, guys. I'll not create manually. So we have saw web app creation through manual. We saw how we can create manual. The second we saw through ARM templates. We saw how we can create a web app through ARM template. The third way I'll show you is using command line, using Azure CLI. So suppose you are working in some project wherein they are not using Terraform, not ARM, nothing infra as a code tool they are using, but you want to deploy your application automatically without manual intervention. Then there is a third way also. You can use CLI commands, Azure CLI commands, and you can create a web app and manage your web app using CLI. And you can integrate the same thing with your pipeline also. So you can have something called a task called Azure CLI, and you can use this. Put this at the top, and the commands are given over here. The first command, this is how the resource group will be created. The second command, this is a service plan will be created. So in my service plan, I need a Linux system is mentioned over here. The third is where is your web app got created, and the web app will require a Java 8 JRE version. It's also mentioned over here. Okay, this is the name of my web app, devopsmela prod. I think this name is used by my student. I'll just add some numbers over here, and then simply copy this entire thing. These are the CLI commands, and I'll put it inside over here. So this is third way of managing. This is Linux, so I'll be selecting shell over here. I don't have a path, it's not part of my, if I want I can put this CLI as a part of my drop location also, but this is not there, so I'll keep it in inline and I'll just put it over here this way. This is, I name it Azure CLI creation. Same way even I have for deletion. Same way I just clone this, create a new copy, and I'll just name this as deletion. Now again I'm hard coding everything, guys. Now deletion will what it will go, and it will go and delete the entire resource group itself. Now this is, I'm all again hard coding, guys. Again, these are naming convention are getting hard coded. We all know now that if I don't want to hard code and if I want to define it as a variable, I can define everything over here and simply call it inside my task. How we can call it? Dollar open close bracket and replace it. Correct? We can do that. So when you are doing, when you are practicing, make sure don't hard code. Try and create it as a variable. Okay, now what is the name of my this is the name of my web app, so I'll just put it over here. Subscription. This is web app on Linux, and this is the name. Okay, perfect. Let's name this pipeline as Java Maven release. Okay, just name this stage as dev. Hopefully everyone is understanding what exactly we are doing, guys. It's the same thing which I am repeating myself and what we already did during the .NET session. The only difference is the task is different. Okay, now if you see, this is looking for a jar file, so we already have a jar file. I have disabled the deletion because I don't want to run the deletion for now. Save it, create a new release. So the first thing is it will go and run my web app creation, then it will go and deploy my jar file. Okay, any questions, any doubt? What are we doing, why are we doing, anything as such it's going in your mind? So do let me know.
So Rohit, this deployment right here, this is a classic deployment.
Correct.
Okay. And also when you ran the Maven task and you added JACOCO, I missed where, because I think in the end it also ran a JUnit test, but in the codes I thought that we had, or at least the system removed the line for JUnit and we replaced it with a JACOCO, I guess, request, if that makes sense. Like if you go back to the pipeline, I did not see anything.
No, it was not replaced. Basically, we have added both JUnit as well as JACOCO. Okay, let's go back to the build. Okay, now if you come down, do you see this? Publish JUnit test, true. Test publish, this is the result. Now then we added code coverage also. This 3 lines.
I see it, I missed it. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Now if you see the sonar queue, when we have a sonar queue, then even this will change to true. This is false right now. Even this part will change to true. So sonar queue has multiple things. That is something we'll talk in tomorrow's session. For now, let's come back. Now if you see this CLI, okay, does not exist. Now if you see this CLI has successfully created my environment. Now why it does not exist? Let's go and see the portal. Again, you can add that PowerShell of 160-second gap in between these tasks, guys. That is possibly the issue why we are not getting this error. Now I do have devopsmela prod 123, but in my error I see this should exist before deployment. So you can add a similar task, guys. Remember we had a PowerShell task which breaks in for 60 seconds, so you can add those tasks. For now I'll just disable the creation task and I just redeploy it again. Okay, let's wait. Now while the deployment is happening, you can quick glance. If I go and open this domain and see what we are getting right now. Hey Java developers, so it's a Java web page, default page which we are getting. Okay, so initialization has started, download has started. Now the deployment has started. Let's wait and watch. Successfully deployed web page to app service. This time the deployment was successful. So yeah, if we add that PowerShell script of 60 seconds gap in between, so you'll not get the error which we got just now. So we can avoid such errors. Let's wait while the deployment is getting successful. So in the deployment, nothing but the jar file is getting copied to your destination branch, your server, and the jar is getting just getting extracted right now. That's it. That is how the deployment is happening. Let's refresh it. If you want to see the logs, guys, you can see the logs at this location, and it will give you the logs like what exactly happening, how the things are getting downloaded and all. Now this was successfully deployed. Now you can see the deployment logs over here. You can see the deployment history over here, and this is the place wherein you can access your application. Where is the application? Refresh it. Do you see welcome to DevSecOps? Now the other part was, where's the PPT? Compare. You can see if the compare is working or not. Compare and put the numbers 12. smaller than 50. If I put more than 50, smaller than equal to 50. If I put more than 50, greater than 50. So this is working. The incremental will not work because the incremental, as I said, it requires one more server or Node.js where exactly the calculation happens. Okay, so I don't have this Node.js for now. That is something we'll see later. Now if you see, run the incremental module, increment module, it will not work. Let me show you. Like 90. White label error, the application has not explicit mapping. So there's no mapping right now. So mapping is done when you have the other application, the backend application running. So this is just to give how the two-tier application works. Hence I have created this. For now I don't have the other application running. That is something we'll see when we come to the container section, when you know about Docker and everything. At that time I'll show you. Okay. Now that's it from Java. Now if I want to delete things, I do have a task, we all know. Now I just disable this, enable this, and I come back, run this task again. Now this will go and delete everything for me. Basically it will go and delete the resource group and things will be deleted. I don't have to do it manually by myself. All will be done using my pipeline. Understood, guys? So that's it from Java. So this is how you will be building your Java applications if you're using Maven. If you're using any other, the only difference you will find out is through the build tool. You might use Gradle, you might use Ant. Like if you're using other application like this was a Spring Boot. Like suppose you're using Angular, React. Okay, all this they use npm packages. So over there Maven will not work. Then there's a npm which you will be using for as a build and the package management tool. Okay, but nothing much will differ. Like if you think, no, I don't know how to work with Angular, no, it's the same story. The only difference is Maven will get replaced with npm. Okay, but it's all in the backend. It is Java. Angular and React is all Java based front end development tools, correct? So yeah, if you got anything else apart from this, simply you can see how npm, what is the so even npm has the same set of commands: npm clean, npm install, npm build. These are the same set of commands which you have it in npm also. So if in an interview, if you get a questions on Angular and React.js, don't worry, tell them I have worked on Java Maven projects. npm I know Angular and React, how it gets built. That gets built using npm. So that is more than enough. Later you can just Google around and you can find out what are the commands you need to put in order to build an Angular and React project. That's it. Everything will remain same. The only thing will change in the build pipeline. The first 7-8 line which I showed you, that part will change in npm if you are doing a React or Angular build. Make sense? This is how you will be tackled. There are so many languages in the world. It's not easy to go and learn all the build and all the release for all the languages. If you know important one, they're like .NET, you know, Java, you know, then you can build. With this experience you can build any other applications also. Okay, just keep that in mind. So don't give, like whenever you're giving interview, don't give that impression that you don't know. You know it, but you should tell in a better way. Okay, so any questions over here with the Java project? I'll be sharing the Java project with you guys. Go through it. I'll not share the one which I have in my repository. I'll share the vanilla one wherein I have not added any plugins and all. Go and do things from scratch by yourself, and for reference use this reference guide, the notepad which is there inside the Maven folder for your reference, and try to build and release this particular Java application. Now tomorrow we'll take this further. I'll be including SonarQube task now. Now for SonarQube, you cannot directly jump on SonarQube. We need to set up SonarQube server. We need to create a SonarQube project. We need to create the service connection between Azure DevOps and SonarQube, and then we'll start integrating SonarQube task inside your build pipeline. So that's a good it's a good learning wherein we'll set up everything from scratch and we'll do things. Okay, that's it for me. Anyone has any question, doubt, please do let me know, or else we can wind up the call. Anyone has any doubt? Sebastian, Kishore, Guy, Babatunde, Saurav. Who else?
It's a clear for me. It's clear.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Perfect. Ivanu, Bharati, everyone. Okay, any doubt from the project, the assignment part? Anyone who is doing assignments? Any doubt from there?
I think so far everything has been clear. I mean, your videos are very, very straight to the point. It really makes it easy for us. I mean, for me to go through and do all the exercises. Even when I see some errors, it's easy for me to troubleshoot and then figure it out. So thank you so much.
Perfect, Sebastian. Thank you very much for the feedback. Thank you all. If there's no question, thank you all. Let's move on. Let's come back tomorrow and let's start with the new security topic, that is SonarQube. Okay, thank you all. Bye bye.